Hello, my friends.
Hey,
Hi.
Julie.
Hey, Curt, what's up? Thank you so much for hopping on to CityClips. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the show, CityClips is all about North Florida business and tech. And we have a small little series that I'm highlighting Domi's board. And Domi Station is a nonprofit incubation and co-working space based in Tallahassee. And it's really an honor to have Curt as one of my fellow board members to talk about all things Tallahassee, North Florida, and Domi. So thank you so much for hopping on today.
My pleasure, Julie. Thank you for having me.
So quick intro of Curt. So for those of you who are not familiar with Curt Bender is a Tallahassee-based attorney with extensive experience in regulatory law and litigation. He has served as Assistant General Counsel for Florida's Department of Business and Professional Regulation, overseeing pharmaceutical compliance. Curt's diverse legal expertise makes him a valuable resource in navigating complex legal challenges. After working at a law firm and serving multiple organizations, he is now a solo practitioner and enjoys regularly volunteering in his community. And I personally have to say that I have benefited from Curt's legal counsel, just getting advice, and I really appreciate. Really, we met through some mutual friends, and I have to say through Domi, I think.
Correct. Yeah, I think Domi's a catalyst.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, what convinced you? And are you originally from Tallahassee?
So I'm South American. I grew up in Orlando and then did undergrad in Jacksonville before moving here for law school in 2014. And I've been here ever since. Yeah.
So it's like, what do they say? There's the boomerang folks that grew up here, left for a while, and then came back, and then there's the ones who like got sucked into Tallahassee and never left.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it goes. And I think that's the year that Domi got started, 2014. I think.
It was starting to form, yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that was my I remember my 1L year of law school, and I remember doing a tour of Domi as part of during law school. Or it might have been my tour, all those years ago.
That's so cool. And I think that reminds me, I think you mentioned, weren't you like involved with some entrepreneurship endeavor in Jacksonville too? And that kind of like got you interested in being involved here with Domi and everything?
Yeah, I've always had various and I now say adventures, and I got this from a guy in Jacksonville. His name is Elton Rivas. Just how things work. I was great educators. I was in a professor's class, Dr. Diane Daywood. I was in her Leadership 101 class. And years later, she assigned me to be the assistant of this gentleman. I don't. He was the keynote speaker, and she just thought that I should meet him. So she assigned me to be his assistant. And he was working on a really cool project in Jacksonville. And I said, hey, I think I would like to be your intern. Do you need an intern? He didn't have one. And then I got a call later, and he had this thing called One Spark. It was terrific. And he had an incubator that he was starting, an accelerator actually. So I was like, man, you probably need some help over there too. So I was able to intern at both places, and that's how I got a background in like incubation and accelerator and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you've kind of, you've seen Domi start and kind of evolve along the way. And it's almost pretty much their 11th year this summer. And so eventually you joined the board. Like it was just last year, right? Or
Yeah,
has it been almost 2 years?
I think it's been about 2 years. Just generally my time flies together. So 1 year, 2 years. And it's I think around that time we're working on some project with the then ED of Domi, and I was kind of surprised when I was asked to be on the board, and I happily accepted. But I've doing some work with Startup Week and just generally the folks at Domi. I've been around Domi for a while, and I was pleasantly surprised and accepted invitation.
Yeah, it's definitely an honor because some of the board members have accomplished so much more than I have for sure. And but I think they see that we're both like passionate community members and are very excited about entrepreneurship and helping other business owners. And so, yeah, it's really been a pleasure. And I've seen all the different team members come through. And so I'm really excited about what we're going to do in the next year as a team, as a board team, really, to help continue the legacy of Domi.
Yeah, and I think particularly in this space, like the incubation, this like innovation based, being a board member is tremendous in and of itself because, like you noted, like there's some pretty cool people on the board doing some pretty cool things. So not only is that benefiting Domi, but I think I pale in the scale of experience with the board members, that I get to learn a lot as well and how they approach things. And I get to be literally a fly on the wall in the room and in that aspect. So I think that's pretty cool as well.
It's really neat how they also respect all of us. Like we respect one another and really take everyone's perspectives seriously and their feedback. So it's neat to see these leaders, accomplished leaders, very humble and very cooperative and generous with suggestions, really. So yeah, I'm really excited for where things are going to go. We can't announce everything yet. Everything is still in the works. So, but in terms of like your experience with business law, I remember you mentioned that you're really an entrepreneur that went into law. Like you started really deep down as an entrepreneur and you wanted to get into business law. Like, why did you go that route?
I believe I've always had the entrepreneurial bug, the entrepreneurial spirit, and I've exercised that at various points in my life to various degrees of success, of course. And I always want to be an attorney. I want to do criminal law. And when I was at UNF, I got a minor in American Sign Language. That was a niche group of folks that I wanted to help. And when I got to law school, I just gravitated towards business. I don't know. I think it was a good decision to learn a lot of theoretical aspects from the professors who care about those nuances, and get to practice it. And during law school, there was plenty of opportunities with clinics and other things. Plus, I had my own adventures going at the time. Yeah, so my approach to law is that of an entrepreneur, just essentially a different skill set or an additional skill set. Look at it just like another arrow in the quiver, for approaching solutions. And you're an entrepreneur. That's essentially what you do. You identify problems, provide solutions. Attorneys tend to be more risk adverse, and I certainly inherited that aspect more from being an entrepreneur. I have no like low risk aversion, and I note that to my clients all the time. Is like these are the options, and I don't have the risk aversion as an attorney normally has. So that's something that I just have to know from being that I do believe I'm more of an entrepreneur. So that's just one of those things that come with the game that has to be identified and addressed.
It's really cool because lawyers, yeah, I mean, just having worked with lawyers for different reasons and everything, and just how some operate their businesses, and they're just happy to be solo practitioners, and instead of working for a law firm. I know there's pros and cons, similar to creatives in the creative industry, freelancing versus working for a creative firm. You have a little bit of freedom and independence and everything else. But you do a lot of fun things too on the side, just variety of things. There's something about your personality, I think, that likes the freedom. Like for example, you've started several types of businesses, and your partner is also very entrepreneurial. So you've helped her, and yeah, you really like helping people and consulting, provide legal consulting. I really appreciate how you provided sessions available at Domi. And so yeah, like you don't want to be bored, I can tell.
Yeah, I have a lot of hobbies, and that's one of the flexibilities that being a solo practitioner allows. It's a and we're the same age group there, and our being our professional years, the big thing was the work-life balance, and that was kind of, millennials are standing up for that. I found what I believe works better for me is I don't know where this term came from. Probably saw it on LinkedIn somewhere, but it's integration, work life integration. So I just integrate my work into my life, and because I am a solo practitioner, um, it's all starts and stop with me. So it's pretty easy to manage. I think that's more difficult if there's, if I had associates or something, I would have to organize that differently. But as a solo practitioner, I have that autonomy, and that's one of the biggest decisions and deciding factors for myself, and how I do anything is how much autonomy do I have, and how much creative control I have. And those are two forefront decision points that I make in all ventures, because I like to do different things, and I would like to do them when I would like to do them,
Yeah.
absent
And
approval.
and really, if I could recall correctly, but I remember James Altucher, he was one of the first ones who came out with a book. Um, and I can't recall the title, but his whole premise is that in the near future, the workforce in 2030 or 2025, he predicted that half the workforce would be independent and, freelancing, just that kind of thing. And with AI and technology speeding things up, the business models of today really need to adapt and prepare for the future business model. And so I think some of us, the odd ones, who've been dabbling the last 10 years, like experiencing what and learning how to run a business online, how to survive, really, creating our own and designing our own businesses and professions independently outside of the traditional business model. That's the future of the workforce that people need to be prepared for. So there's all kinds of things, and you go to these events, if you've seen it, people are saying workforce is shrinking. Baby boomer age is getting older, and they're having to meet the demand because less and less people want to work full time for someone else. That I think is a combination of things. It's also corporate culture. I'm preaching to the choir. I think you already know, because you and I have chosen this lifestyle. And it's
And
not easy. It's not.
it's not. And then and also I think it's better sooner than later to be on your own, forces you to address business development. And at least in legal profession, if you want to make it to the upper echelons of partnership in any firm, you have to have some kind of business development aspect to you in some sense. So being this way, like what does it mean being a business person? Well, one of it is you have to generate revenue, and you have to figure out how you're going to do that and address that, in addition to gaining and growing the skill set that you apply to the problem. So start it sooner than later. The rewards, and it's sort of like anything. The sooner you do it, the longer you get to enjoy it. So in future economies, and I say that I'm on, like, finishing up phase one of my three-phase life. So I plan, we'll see how it works. And for the later phases, I think complete autonomy would be necessary. So I find it prudent to invest now, build the necessary client base, the clients that I can carry with me indefinitely, which I have my target goal, my target number, so that later I can, focus on serving that set of clients while I do the things that I don't think I could be growing a practice and focusing on those other matters simultaneously.
Yeah,
But
I'm so
you know,
glad you
but you
brought
know
up.
how this goes, Julia, with planning, right? Like, so
Yeah,
so I plan,
yeah.
so I plan.
Well, plans are made to be broken. Like eventually, like it's better to plan. It's a failure to plan is a plan to fail. The famous saying. But it's better to plan something. And I'm glad you brought up business development, because let me go ahead and just pull this up. But I love how some lawyers don't like spend too much time trying to sell themselves. And speaking of which, your website, We were talking about
designed
this.
it
I was like,
myself.
that's so like, what are you doing, bro? But it's very practical. I mean, it gets the job done. Like you get the contact info, new clients by referral only. And you were saying that it's in your practice or in the legal world, like it's not a good sign when you're trying to sell yourself too hard. And I believe it.
And I'll do one. It's Earl Nightingale, and if I'm sure everyone's heard like The Strangest Secret. He's like a 19-minute video. It's either that or like one of his two videos. He said, you take a man, drop him downtown blindfolded anywhere, and he'll have no idea where he is because everyone's playing follow the next person. And he said rather than just find some outliers or some exceptional people in the field, everyone's just following the other person. So I have a number of mentors, and one of them, this guy is just one of the busiest people I know, always turning down work, always doing like these cool, sexy cases. And he just his when I email, because that's one way you research people, right? You see what their email address domain is, and then you go visit it, and it was a landing page. So I said, like, and I was like, it doesn't. I was like, am I at the right place? So I ensured that when I was building my website, I would put something to alert folks that they at least arrived at the correct place. So that's why you have that lovely welcome message there.
And it's great. I mean, and you get enough referrals. And if you do great work and you serve the community, people trust you. Obviously, it has a lot to do with trust. Being a lawyer, somebody to trust you with, their business. And so, yeah, I appreciate you. So, okay, in terms, and I can't believe time is flying. Domi, let's just quickly go back to Domi because some of the things in the pipeline, we got some things in the works because one of the things that a lot of early stage entrepreneurs don't know how to deal with is setting up a business. It gets overwhelming. That part, sometimes the paperwork and all of that. So I think you're going to help us figure that part out. And all those who are starting a business for the first time, sometimes people set up, what's the difference between LLCs, all the other things, S Corp and all that. And then you have to deal with the taxes, the tax issues if you filed wrong. What would you say, like, if for those who are getting started for the first time, you don't have to give it all in this one show because we obviously need more time to talk about and dive into that.
Yes. So I think I could say where I think people should be at. And when you're starting a business, there's many moving parts to I'll call it the hardcore business of you have X product or service. You need to do business development to get your customers to sell it and purchase it, or however that transaction works, generate revenue, pay yourself. That's the hardcore business things. And then there's a lot of administrative matters that go along with that. Like, your choice of entity, getting the right agreements in place and things of that nature. I think that being in a good position where you don't have to worry about those administrative aspects, just so that you can focus on the hardcore business aspect of it, your customer discovery, and those other aspects of your business that are vital. I think that's where the majority of the time should be spent, and not in these administrative things. Fortunately, it's there's only a variety of ways that these things can go. So, not saying there's a one size fit all package, but there's a pretty good startup package that I think that people can be attuned to, so that they can focus on the hardcore business side, and where there'll be help for that as well. But but these administrative matters shouldn't concern folks. It should just be more like tasks, and for you to understand that they're tasks and what each task means and what it accomplishes, so that you can focus on the fun part of the business and the hard part as well, which is the hardcore business aspect of it, your business model, fulfilling that and knowing that all the administrative matters are just squarely in place. I think that'll be a good place for folks to be at.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm like really excited to see what you guys end up lining up. And I say you guys because that partnership is not public yet. What's going to come down through to help people figure that part out. Because the other thing, and I'm having to learn making my own mistakes, really. So it'll really help others to understand, like, oh, are you going to have a partnership with somebody? Is this partnership going to be a good one? And what are the documents you need to establish a lot of the expectations up front versus, oh, let's just shoot each other bullet point lists of how we're going to split this, right? Because that's not adequate.
Yeah, well, it's better than something as long as it's in writing. Better than nothing, which happens a lot. And some other things that I think that just on the next step level, because Domi is an incubator, it's not an accelerator. So, the essential come as thou art, and we'll meet you there from idea elsewhere. But some of the things that, for example, we could be aware of like next logical steps that a business would have to take and that they, know that they have to take, but make it a bit more concrete so it's addressed. For example, like, next you probably need to be looking at vendor agreements. So, familiarize yourself because you might be signing someone else's, or they may ask for one of yours for these events or whatever the space is. So I think I don't know how. I don't want to put next logical step because it makes it seem like, are you saying I'm not logical? But like the next that we know, next experienced step of just to attune folks to, and those are that could sort of be clumped into the administrative panel. It's not the hardcore working in your business, but hopefully we could alleviate some of those pressure points and just get you tuned properly. I think that'll be fun with with whatever's upcoming.
Yeah, I'm and we're going to announce it soon. We got Domi Awards coming up, so I want to make sure. I mean, they're about to sell out, so by the time you probably see this recording, some of you guys might actually see this like a week later. And Domi Awards has already taken place, so I'm glad Curt had a chance, and let me just go ahead and share it. But he had a chance to hop on within a week's notice, really, to talk about everything here. So just sharing Domi stuff. Domi Awards is really one of their more popular events and exciting because it's all about celebrating entrepreneurship. The keynote is going to be Princess Osley. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. She's the founder of Elite Business Strategies, and we got several nominees coming and attending, and a lot of my friends will be there, a lot of business friends, really. And it's great to be able to see and connect with other business owners in town, because we don't always get a chance to really meet new business owners. And so there's other ways of opportunity for networking and everything, but there's something unique to the Domi community. So I highly, highly recommend being there and getting together and going to the space and checking it out. Do you have anything else? Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
It's all about ecosystem.
Yeah.
So there is something I would like to add that as we're discussing just the benefits of being on this particular board or the company around. I have to say with you, Julia, one thing that I've certainly learned is, and I don't know if this is a correct phrase, but it's on top of itness. You just have a certain on top of itness about you. And I always thought that I was always efficient. I pride myself. When I walk, I believe I walk in the most efficient way with with my feet. But you just have such an on top of itness. I love it, and I'm hoping to adopt more of that in my life. And just so if anyone's listening, you're like, well, what's on top of itness, Curt? Are you saying like she doesn't procrastinate? No, there's a difference. It's for example, if we have a meeting, then shortly thereafter, it's these are the to do, with the actual calendar links and things of that, just like the on top of itness is remarkable. I'll say that. And I thought I was high achieving in and of myself, but no, it's a different level. So thank you for bringing that on top of itness to the board, Julia.
Oh, thank you. And it's so funny because I was on another community group online, and somebody made a comment like, Julia's really ambitious. And I'm like, I'm more like the lazy, ambitious person, because it doesn't, like, for people who don't really know me, they'd be surprised that I'd actually say that I'm lazy, but I am very lazy.
I
But
wouldn't be able to see it, but lazy and on top of it at the same time. A remarkable combination.
and I think that's what it is. I think because maybe there's something in me deep down where I don't like to wait for anything last minute to happen. I'd like to be proactive and prepare and make sure that all the things are covered and make sure everyone's on the same page. And that's what really motivates me. When it comes to other things, like don't look at my house, like don't like there's some things I don't always cover everything. Like I'm not on top of everything. I don't like to pretend I'm everything is perfect, because there's definitely some sacrifices that need to be made to be able to get other things done. So, like for example, I know that's part of why I got into business. I wanted a flexible schedule for my family. I know that there will be days that my little kids would be sick. So, or they need to be picked up at school because something happened or whatever, and doctor's appointments, those things to me, I knew that I couldn't give a company full-time 110%, because that's how I am. I'm a type A personality. I'm a perfectionist. I want to give a company 110%. But if I couldn't do that, because I want to be there for my family when they need me, and also to just take care of all the things of being a mom and a wife and all the things in my personal life. So having that option to be able to run a business um, with flexible hours was an ideal situation. And thanks to Micah and some of the original co-founders of Domi, they really gave me that open opportunity and open door. And that's why people are like, are you at Domi? Do you work for Domi? I'm like, no, I'm a cheerleader for Domi. I just am an ambassador. And I've met some of my best and closest friends through Domi. So that's why I'm very excited and passionate about this place, this community. So yeah, thanks, Curt. I mean, I know we're getting close to the end, but is there anything you'd like to end with as kind of like a concluding tip for those who are considering starting and considering engaging with the Domi community?
So folks are going to be at all different stages of business, and even if we take two of the same folks like HVAC, um, so uh, evaluate where you're at and where you're trying to go, and everyone's goals are different. So you can be the solo practitioner HVAC that um, goes and services folks. You can work for HVAC, and those are all just different types of businesses on all different levels for just HVAC, and that might not be your industry. You may want to do hospitality and say, I might just want to start with a food truck or a vendor or pop up. I think if any kind of service is evaluate where you're at and where your goal is to go, and put in not just revenue. And I echo a lot of what you stated, Julia. You'll be amazed how many errands you have to run throughout the day. Just like and for different things. So like flexibility was a major factor in determining the shape of my practice and my firm, of how I practice. So it's when you're at your business, so you're growing your business, consider beyond just the revenue. I think that's the simplest one to start with. I want X number of revenue, and I need to sell Y product or Y service. Um, but look at it more holistically. I think, and because starting a business can be very difficult, and and we'll get into this in later sections. We've teased some things. Uh, there's different types of businesses. Some are like I'm an attorney. It's the barrier to entry is a license. So how I would approach that would be different than others where there is no license, or if you're in a regulated industry, it's approached differently. So it's um, and I say this because even myself, I ask for help. So I'm presuming that you're open to help, or you're looking for help, or you're already on that search. But having an understanding of that aspect in your approach for help or in your seek for answers clarifies a lot. And that will also be helpful for the folks that are assisting you as well, because as you know, everything is different. Your situation is different. And if folks want to genuinely provide input and assistance, them understanding your goals framed um, framed that way would be helpful. So that would be a tip in approaching um, not only just Domi Station for assistance, the mentors that are there, the different aspects that we have coming up. Um, that that is my takeaway tip.
That's awesome. Yeah. And really, they're a great hub and resource for connecting us to the right people in town and the network that they have access to for either mentors or just basic advice, or their partnerships with like JMC, JMI, and SBDC, all of these different resources, Capital City Chamber, all the different chambers. And so, yeah, I mean, there's no way I would have heard about all of these different resources if it weren't for my starting point at Domi. So really big credit to all the team, not just like the current team. It's like built on the shoulders of the ones that were there originally, and all the board members too that spent so much time and energy in bringing Domi to where it is today. So thanks, Curt, for taking the time to be on here. And I need some partnership advice, so we need to talk later. So for those of you who catch this episode, thank you for watching. We would love to get feedback from you. And for those of you who are interested in featuring a business in North Florida, business and tech, please contact me for cityclips.net. Curt, hang on. I'll see you on the other side. See you guys later. Bye.